Oh my goodness! Battle Cat, you a fool for this one! Welcome to the foundation. It is yours truly, the incredible DJ Battle in the building. And hey, man, another week. So let's get straight to it, man. It's disclaimer time, basically letting you guys know that, hey, it's just the king up in here. Just gonna cover a few topics that took place in between the last show and the current one. And as usual, I don't want no BS, no drama, no legal issues. Why is that? Because it's for entertainment purposes only. Remember the last week we talked about, the possibility of extraterrestrial life coming. Now it seems like our good old buddy, 47, he got some more distractions for you. So let's jump straight to it, man. There seems to be a lot of attention focused on Black history and in Trump's mind, slavery in particular in Black history. Like, come on, man. I mean, who doesn't know about how horrible slavery was? But in his mind, it's too focused on how bad it was. Well, how else would we want to focus on it? Let me know. Should we focus on it and erase it and rewrite it into how it wasn't that bad? It was a negotiation, and or it'll go to, oh, they were just servants who willingly wanted to serve, and we said no, 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 no. We don't want you to be a slave. We want you to serve for us. You're doing it for a good cause. So we know it wasn't anything along those lines. And in fact, the problem with history is a lot of it is not told correct to begin with. Starting with the origin of Aboriginal people. Yeah, some people came from Africa. A lot of people are already here. And if you know your lineage, that'll debunk half of the BS that we have forced in our mouth. So, the biggest trick is to try to keep renaming stuff, try to rewrite stuff. Okay, there was slavery. Well, it wasn't that bad. And, before you know it, they'll say that, well, the white folks were slaved and it was the black people fault. Yeah. Best thing you can do is, and this is my honest opinion, because I don't really have too much faith in how history is told to begin with. So you really have to do your own research and get it from valid sources. It's on you, really, the parent or anyone who's an elder-like figure, to teach the youth correctly, or even some grown folks. You got to give them the correct information, and also have them understand that the stories that they're going to get in places like these new stories that they're going to doctor up and put in museums, you just got to look at it as passing a grade for a test. You just learn it to pass the test, but it's up to us to teach our kids and our people what really happened in history. And it takes work. It really does. It's much easier to control someone when you taking their history and their worth or their value from them. When you just teach them that, hey, you didn't come from nothing but just slavery and just, a wild jungle, you didn't have no culture. When you teach a person that, and which is incorrect information to begin with, it's easy to control them. But once you show them that their people come from greatness, and we look at everything that's in this country that's been built, has been, been created by, a lot of indigenous people. They just don't get the credit for it. Someone who's in a higher position will take credit for it. When you give our kids and give the youth the true history, their value and their decision making is going to become a whole lot better, because now you care, because you belong to something great. I just found it kind of hilarious, that another distraction, invading all the blue states with martial law. It's just, all this stuff is just distraction to keep your mind off the fact that you don't have to look at that Epstein list. Keep your anything he gonna throw at you. He's like, as long as it take your mind off of the fact that it's the list that you don't talk about. He cool. Somebody like me, I can sit back and peep the whole game, because I look from a much higher place looking down on it. Just thought that was just hilarious to even see. Speaking of race relations, because things are getting really, really out of control out here. I had the chance to, go hang out in Seattle, Washington, and, go to the Space Needle and Pike Place and, the waterfront. Beautiful place to visit. Most people talk about the rain, but believe it or not, when it's not raining, In the summertime, it's actually a beautiful place to visit. But thank God I missed what happened out there. It was pretty much a hot mess, man. This situation where a vet in a wheelchair, plays music, to make change or make money because he's a disabled vet. But then somehow this little white man that just comes by and insults his valor and the whole nine about he didn't believe that the disabled man in the wheelchair was a vet. Like, why does it matter if he's a vet or not? First and foremost, I don't know if it was some words exchanged. So, the man was in a wheelchair and the brother's name is Harold Powell. He's going to reach for his military identification. You would not believe what happened. This guy brought out his gun, pointed at the veteran in the wheelchair. Now look at the man in the wheelchair. He's posing no threat. You know what I'm saying? What can he possibly do in a wheelchair? Do a drive-by and drive off fast and get away? Think this clearly through. Now, only thing you hear is this crazy-ass man named Gregory Tim. He's saying stuff like, "You're not going to shoot me. I saw you reaching for your gun. You're not going to shoot me." Now, first of all, anyone who has a concealed weapons permit, and we go to the classes, for some reason, they always drive home the point that you make sure that there's a threat posed before you withdraw your firearm and discharge. You have to convey that in the court of law that your life was in danger in order to justify what you've done. I peeped it out when I'm hearing him saying that, knowing the brother is not posing a threat to him and just reaching for his identification. He shot him in front of everybody, point blank range. Pow! He shot him, and the brother just sitting there clutching his chest. He like all he could think about was his wife and kids, and I was like, oh my goodness, man. Did I really see this? Like, you actually saw the footage online, and thank God the brother, he pulled through. The news interviewed him and everything, and he was just talking about how he just didn't understand why this man was singling him out to begin with. My thing is this: whether the man is a veteran or not, he's just out there just playing music and trying to earn a living. Why should it matter? Why don't you just go about your business, go about your day, go shopping, enjoy the experience of what the city has, and be done with it? But no, you got to take it to the next level and basically try to perform a execution in broad daylight. Yeah, that definitely infuriates me. You know what I'm saying? Especially when I see a gentleman like this who reminds me of my pops because he was a vet. He had a disability from the military. It just angered me because this man was basically, he wasn't posing no threat or no harm. So what would make this crazy bastard do something like that? Nothing but pure hate. I can't see when that person left his hotel room or whatever he came from. He already had in his mind that somebody was gonna catch him. He was just trying to figure out who. Him. I'm gonna get him. And that's just the temperature we at today. And that's why you got to protect yourself and your loved ones now more than ever. It's sad to have to think like that. This could have all been prevented. It was so unnecessary. And thank God this bastard's behind bars. But let's see how this thing will play out. Knowing the system, they'll probably give him probation, because he'll state his argument that I feared my life. He was in a wheelchair. He's going to grab a gun. Okay, guy. People like this, if and when they do let him out, if it's an early and he get it like a light slap on the wrist, it got to be some type of street justice. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I'm not the turn the other cheek kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? Especially on something like this. So I hope this brother gets the justice he deserves and they put this guy away. But this is definitely an alarm. The alarm that we've been signaling for quite some time. So you got to protect yourself. You just do. Yep, but definitely getting out of that one, man. Now, so here we are today, man. Another tricky situation where you're going to really have to start paying attention to your food. Now, yeah, even though this might be, presented in a form of humor, but you really need to think about it. What you see behind me is, colored bacon. You see red, orange, yellow, green. Focus on that blue. That's the one I'm gonna talk about right now. You may look up in the grocery store. You may see some blue ham, some some blue pork chops, some blueberry pancake. Look, blueberry bacon. You know, you really need to start to pay attention because out in California, I see that some hunters hunted some wild hogs. When they shot them, bah! They noticed that the insides were blue instead of normal red blood. It was just blue inside, right? So then, after doing some further research and getting deeper into that, you can see that, as you can see behind me, there's more blue dye. It seems like they have come across some type of pesticide that made them toxic, that turned their whole insides blue, like a pesticide of some sort. So that's some scary thought, man. You think about it, because what's the likelihood something like this can end up in your grocery store? This world is hell bent on, at least certain individuals, billionaires, that are hell bent on figuring out different ways to depopulate, whether they transforming your butter out of damn fuel or out of carbon, just coming with elaborate ways of killing you, putting deadly pesticides on your apple peel, and just all kinds of things that you need to pay attention to. Look at the products and look who's the owner of those deadly patents or deadly products. You'll draw the connection. And not only with the blue pigs, you also got Walmart having radioactive shrimp, man. I can't make this up. Like Paul when you say, oh, I'm not that good. But radioactive shrimp. You up there eating shrimp. Next thing you know, inside start glowing. You go to the doctor and put your stomach on X-ray, or put your whole body on X-ray. They say, your stomach's glowing. But all jokes aside, we know anything that's radioactive, is prone to give you cancer. Really, really scary times, bro. For real, it really is. We got to really make sure you live somewhere where you have a lot of options as far as shopping for food. In rural areas, you're probably gonna have one Walmart. And with that, in the way they're closing, then you're limited to some other, source that provides tainted meat. And I just see more and more different recalls every week from these same players, whether it's in Walmart or some grocery store chain that targets lower income populations. And if you know your area, you know which franchise I'm talking about. But yeah, man, just thought I would share that with you. Just be careful of your meat stores. But yeah, thought I would leave that with y'all, man. I'm going to transition to the next topic, and this one is really concerning, and hopefully people will learn from it. There was a brother in Chicago who was doing a Facebook live stream. The brother's name was Kevin Watson. He in his car doing a Facebook live stream in Chicago. And if anyone's from a city like Chicago or Detroit or any main city, you got to be careful on how you move around. Just sitting in a location where there's a lot of activity and you just got your door open and live streaming and got your chain on. These times or any other times, folks will try you and take your possessions, even if you are on live stream. And of course, the brother, he was talking about, everything he was just going through in a particular nightclub situation. And he's a guy approached him while he was doing his live stream, and his car was running. This was like an attempted robbery. You could see his eyes kind of looking. You see the guy come, you could tell. And then the guy was basically like, give me the chain, for the most part. Now, there was I would say a good 3 or 4 second moment to where he could have just threw the car and drive and just peeled off. But for some reason, I believe him being on a live stream made him try to do something heroic and just step out. Probably was gonna try to disarm the brother and handle the situation right there. You clearly saw there was a window of opportunity where he could have just threw that thing and drive and just whipped off. You have a better chance doing that, and bullets could possibly graze you, better than trying to directly confront somebody trying to handle it like a G. I don't know if he was trying to handle like a G or what, but we did hear the shot go off. We couldn't see what happened, but we definitely saw there was enough time where he could have just threw that thing and drive and just peeled off. I know it's hard to speak on because we don't know how close the brother could have been with the gun, but by the way he got out, I could tell he had a chance to get out, to get away. So it's just sad to see how people just rob each other like that over material. And then, and be honest with you, if it was really about just taking the chain off, and you would have been all right, hey, bro, take the chain. Hey, it's yours, bro. You got it, man. You got it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you can replace those valuables. You can replace those material things. You know what you can't replace is that life. That life is important, boy. Ah, I hate to see that happen, man. It just seemed like we just numb this stuff because we see so much like stuff like this come on our feed every day. It's terrible. But yeah, something else that concerns me: the ability to want to be seen all the time and do things that doesn't make sense and put your life at risk, or get a really savage injury over something that could have been totally preventable. There was a fisherman that saw a shark that was alive, but still on a shore. I want to say it was in Florida. So me, what I would do, I see a shark on the side like that and it's struggling and look like it's trying on the water, or you don't know if it's alive or dead. I'm gonna keep it moving. Or if you're really that adamant about helping it, do it with from the boat and throw a net around them and then drag them in the water or something. What this fisherman does, he goes over, he tries to take a picture. Try to pick him up by the head and take a picture with him, only to get bit because the shark was still alive, and he had to go to the ER. Now you got this scar of a lifetime for what? For a selfie? That's where we at with it now. Boy, this selfie generation, boy, you know, I'm cool with some selfies. If there's a nice mountain in the background, or there's the pyramids behind you, or some structure, location-wise, beach, something like that. But come on, you going to mess with something dangerous, or you gonna pose with a lion, try to put the lion head on your shoulder, and pose with him. That's why it's called wildlife. You leave that stuff alone. Let nature figure it out. I just want people, man, just use their common sense. Common sense, boys, is getting further and further away from us. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to take too much more of your time, but I will be back later. But enjoy the rest of your week and weekend. Hopefully you guys are not heavily impacted or damaged by the hurricane. If you are, I hope they're able to, get the recovery that you need. And fishermen, surfers, stay out the water. When the lifeguard says the rip currents are going to be deadly and we ain't coming after you, it's simple. Follow directions. Don't put yourself at risk because they ain't coming at you. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to share, subscribe, like. And if you want to share love, hey, Cash App is $DJ Battle 313. I'm out of here, y'all.